Navigating Modern Manhood, exploring what it means to be a father, a husband, and a man in the 21st century. Now with your hosts, Scott and David. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Modern Manhood. And Scott and I, we haven't put together an episode for a while, but Scott, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Mate, I've been pretty good. I've been very busy. Ticked over on my 40th birthday back in April, and as part of the present was I've got some skydiving, so just recently did that, and mate, what an experience. Unreal.
Cool. Well, that's great. Let's jump into that in a minute. So for those who are joining this episode in particular, we are Scott and David. We are navigating modern manhood, two Australian dads who are based in Europe, and we are really exploring what it means to be a man in this 21st century. And we've interviewed quite a few men, and we've got a few men to come. And eventually we might even find a couple of ladies who are also interested to share their thoughts. Perhaps they're married to modern men. Maybe our wives would come on at some point, Scott. We're on a journey, so we're not saying that we are the experts, but certainly we are looking at our stuff in a really honest and genuine way. And so that's really part of this journey. So if this appeals to you, then please do get in touch with us in some way, and we'll put our details at the end. But we'd love to connect with you. So Scott, let's hear a little bit more about skydiving. So you turned 40, which is great. Congratulations and happy birthday, a milestone age, which is great. And skydiving. So what was that about?
Yeah, so it's been a bucket list item for quite a long time, and thankfully my wife knows me fairly well and surprised me with that gift. And so everybody chipped in and had to wait to get to do it. I was like, right, let's do it straight away, because super excited to get out and do it. And they had to fix a few plane issues and then watch the weather and then pick the right time. And it was beautiful. We just went down to the coast down here at Portorož in Slovenia, and had a nice skydive from quite a long way up. I think it was 4,200 meters.
Wow.
So, it was pretty special. And I think as you mentioned here, it was like going through your fears, walking towards your fears and stuff like that. Everybody was asking, are you nervous? Are you afraid? And everything else. It's like, no, I'm just buzzing. Like, really excited to get going. And it was really quite interesting. The kids came down, and the kids were really nervous. Like, I could pick up everybody else's energy, and I could feel their fear.
Okay.
And
you had no fear whatsoever as yourself.
No, it was just pure excitement. And I know within the body that science hasn't been able to differentiate the difference between fear and excitement, because it's the same energetical level. So I even did the questioning. I was like, oh, is this fear just turned into excitement, or what is it? And I was like, no, it's just pure excitement. And it was very interesting, literally getting onto the plane. Even the instructor, the guys who I was tandem jumping with, is like, are you nervous? And I was like, no, should I be? Like, what's going on? He's like, no, I've done like 12,000 jumps. I'm fine. And the fact that everybody kept asking me, am I nervous? Am I afraid? And it started to play in my brain. So when we started to do the takeoff in a tiny little plane, smaller than a Cessna, I started going, should I be afraid? Like, what's going on? Why aren't I afraid? And so the thought process started going on. And because I was picking up everybody else's fears, I was like, okay, I think I should be afraid. And then it was just like, no, you're excited. Just go with it. So it was just like, I sort of had 2 to 3 minutes running through my brain going, why am I not afraid? What's going on? And, it was just a really, really cool
energy of everybody else too. So, who was the most nervous for you, would you say?
Probably my youngest son. He's giving them the big hugs, and I don't want to go, or actually I want to go with you, so I'm with you, sort of thing. So he sort of had his abandonment issue pop up, but it was like he had the fear of missing out, but then the fear of I may not come back. So I think he realized that, I'm jumping from so high up out of a plane that if the parachute doesn't work or whatever.
But I guess it's a bit like flying. People have a fear of flying in an airplane in general, but when they look at statistics, the number of aeroplane crashes are minimal in comparison to car crashes or to other accidents. And so it's actually kind of an extremely safe way to travel. And I imagine too, this instructor, you said, had 12,000 jumps. So of course, one failed jump would probably mean the end of his life, but he's in probably an incredibly safe industry where there's triple checking of things and making sure that all those processes are met every time someone jumps, I could imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a whole team of them there. They actually had 3 specific people that would fold up the chutes after every jump. And they have a fail-safe chute as well. So you're not just jumping with one chute, and then if it doesn't work, at the end, game over. No, they got 2 chutes there just as a safety, as a fail-safe. And the whole team worked through it to get through. And then obviously you're not jumping alone. There's other people that tandem skydiving with you that can also help out in a situation if need be. So
it
was relatively safe.
Jumped in the plane with you?
There was 6 of it, so 3 tandem jumpers. There was no space for any more because the plane was that small, including the pilot. So
Wow.
7 on the plane, and to be a little bit rude, there wasn't enough space to fart. Like it was tight.
And maybe you wouldn't want to in that way. I mean, were the other 2 jumpers feeling the same joy and excitement that you were? They have a different emotion.
No, they were packing darkies. They were very scared. But they knew that it was something that they wanted to do and that they had to do it. And sort of once you get onto the plane, that's the point of no return, because the weight restrictions coming down and everything. They said, we have to get out. If you get on, you have to get out.
Oh, right. That's it. So there's no backing out once you're on the plane.
Yeah.
So, you make that commitment to yourself. Wow. And how I mean, 4,000 feet, I guess, we go to 30,000 feet in an airplane often, or you hear, announcements as such. So 4,000 still is quite high, but how many minutes did it take to arrive at your elevation?
So it was 10 to 12 minutes to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to wait for clearance from the airport to jump out, because it's an international airport, just in case anybody's coming in for the holidays. And then, 1 minute free fall. And then depending on how you wish to come down, anywhere between sort of 1 minute to 3 minutes gliding down. So from 4,000 meters, you free fall to 1,000. So like 4K to 1K. And then that last K, you're literally in control of the chute on the way down, which was amazing. One thing that was really cool, so the people that have the fear of heights, because you're so high up, there is no point of reference. So your brain's like tricked, but not tricked. So when your brain starts thinking, it's like if you're standing on a 3 meter springboard, you can see, and you got a point of reference of how high things are. If you're standing on a balcony, you've got a point of reference. Being that high up, you don't have a point of reference. It's like, there's a few clouds and everything. You're looking down. It's like, you're just looking at little ants and mini micro houses and everything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. On an airplane, you do the same thing. You look out the window. You don't really have a perspective. I'm up high, but you're on a plane and you can think about it, but there's no real reference for fear.
So the depth perception's gone at that height. So it was amazing. And then I actually got to see that on the girl who was sitting opposite me. She was, really quite stressed and paranoid getting on and then taking off. And the higher we got, the calmer she got, because she was looking out the window going, oh. And then, as you go up, you could literally just see it play out. The depth perception is gone. And then, she was the first one to go out. I went second, and the other guy went behind me. And
amazing.
Really cool. Really, really such an amazing experience. And then when they pull the chute, they actually give you the control of the chute, so you can do what you wish. You can either sit there and just glide and take in the view, or you go racing down. I went racing down because I was having such a buzz.
I saw a video on Facebook. Yeah, you end up doing some kind of a corkscrew or having a real moment. I thought, oh God, he's out of control here. But no, this was fun.
It was fun. And the guy goes, you can't do anything wrong. And I was like, that sounds like a challenge.
Knowing you, Scott, you would take that challenge and say, right, how far can I push this then?
Yeah.
interesting. Wow. And how was your son when you arrived back on the ground?
Yeah, really happy. Really, yeah, he came running over, gave me a hug and everything. And then he saw the joy in my face, and that's where he was like, yeah, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
So he's just got to grow a little bit. He's got to get to 135 centimeters, and then we can throw him out of a plane. So
right. So that's the minimum. Is there an age minimum to jump?
No age, just the height.
Just the height. Yeah. So 135. So for those watching, perhaps get out the measurement and see how you could do it. Yeah. And are there any metaphors or ways in which you recognize this experience could be helpful in life in other aspects for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think the people that I spoke to that jumped before and afterwards, the ones that had a lot of fear, it was more around the control. Because at that height, you're not in control, and you're actually surrendering to another person to literally have your life in their hands. And if they don't do their job, then it's sort of a game over situation. It's also the trust. So it's a trust in the process. It's a trust in somebody that's been doing it for so long. Trust isn't freely given; it has to be earned. And I think that's what's happened. When the guy told me he's done 12,000 jumps, he'd done 10 the morning before me, and he had another 6 to go. So it's like, well, you've done this process time and time again. It's like routine. It's like getting up, eating breakfast for him. It's just, if I can surrender control, I can have an amazing experience if I'm there to enjoy the experience and see what comes. If I'm trying to control the situation, then obviously you'll create expectations, and that's where the fear can build, that they don't get met, or they even get exceeded.
Yeah. Wow. So, and what kinds of thoughts popped through your head as you were, perhaps falling, or when you were in that free fall moment? Again, like as you said, little houses and
first one was try not to swear because I'm on video camera, because it was just having so much fun. But it was just amazing. It was just taking it in, and literally my conscious thought was, I really want to absorb this. Like, get in there and enjoy it. And straight away I was like, I want to do this again. And if this was a day job, I can see why people get that addiction, that rush to it.
You have to really be present, I imagine, those instructors. He can't be doing the 17th or the 11th jump with you that day going, oh yeah, I had a fight with my girlfriend last night, and whatever. Like,
that's it. And I think that comes just literally be in the moment. Like, I listened to a podcast, the High Performance podcast, and there's Johnny Wilkinson, a great rugby union player, was on, and his thing was literally be in the moment. No matter where you are and what you're doing, if you're focused and in the moment, then you'll have the greatest success. So that's his thing. It was like, he did that famous drop goal in Sydney to win the World Cup for England, and it was like, he said, I wasn't concentrating about everybody else or what was happening before or after. He was like, I am in the moment. In the moment, it is me. My job is to do this. So he's focusing on himself, focusing on his routine that he'd done 10,000 more times. It was literally, if I can focus in the moment and focus on what the task at hand, then I'll have the greatest success. So that's basically what I was looking at jumping out of the plane, was focus, be in the moment, enjoy it, make sure I can put it in the memory bank. Which I'm fairly certain it's there for life. I'd love to do it again. And just enjoy it. And it was, it got to a point of play. Like, it was really, I got to the point of play. I was like, cool, let's try something different with a guy and experiment to see where we could go. So I think that also relates to all areas of life. If we can overcome our fears, or at least walk towards them and surrender, and then play with them and be in that moment and just be open to what's possible. We quite often surprise ourselves.
Absolutely. And being, I know for me this month, my TED Talk watching is on mindfulness, and I'm not intending to sit in a chair for 20 minutes a day, but it's about mindfulness practice. And that this is what some of the speakers are highlighting, that it's about this moment of being more present. And being more present is to focus on that one activity that you're doing and allow don't allow other thinking to kind of get in the way of that. So we have these thoughts, but do the activity. So I've been trying it out. I'm still at the gym every day doing my 5 minutes of rowing and so forth. And there's a number, 24 seconds per something per minute, So there's a number I can pick that I know, right, if I do 23, I'll do my 1,200 meters in just on 5 minutes. If I do 24, I'll do it, 4 minutes 50 and so forth. And so I'm really trying this moment at the gym to make sure I keep, because the number will change if you're not paying attention. So I pay attention just to that number, and I'm ignoring the dash that has other numbers on the screen, and just seeing with each stroke, am I maintaining that number? So this morning was 24, and so I finished, with 1250 at 5 minutes or whatever, an extra 50 meters. So it's not about the 50 meters, but it was about the ability to not be distracted by the screen showing some Red Bull business or some other people in the gym, just really being focused on that number. And also not the other numbers, because often my brain will say, right, okay, I'm a quarter of the way through. I'm halfway through. I'm nearly there, and I'm having this dialogue in my head. Whereas now, if I watch the number, I might still have that moment, but I have far fewer of them, I'm noticing. And so I'm really just there in that moment. And I jump on the bike and do the same thing. Can I maintain my cadence between 90 and 100? And so the effort is to say, right, okay, it's dropping to 95. Oh, and I'm just watching those numbers, and I'm not focused on any other, there's so many statistics and numbers on these machines these days. It's sort of simple just to say, right, there's that one number, and I'll focus on that.
And unless you build the consistency, and and then it becomes the repetition gets in there. So some people like to call it single-mindedness, yet that single-mindedness can be so effective.
I think so, because we live in a kind of chaotic world. I mean, in that moment of skydiving, as you said, you got on the plane, no turning back. Probably no phones, I imagine. No nothing.
No personal devices allowed, because they'll end up falling out.
All gone. And so you're just there in a jumpsuit attached to a guy with a parachute going up to drop down. I mean, that's you can't get more single-minded and single-focused than that, right?
Yeah.
In that moment. But so has it changed anything about how you're approaching your work or life or your Reiki, for instance, in any ways?
It's really just trusting the process. Like where you've built a process that you're getting results. It may not be the entire results that you want, but you are getting results. It's to trust the process and keep doing it. And the more you do it, then you can refine it as you go through. So I'm certain with my instructor, over his 12,000 plus jumps, that he has refined his process to get it right. There's an element of tinkering that you can go through to, as I say, to get things better, to improve the results that you're after. But it's just literally trusting the process and getting it done and being open to see what happens. And I think that's the main thing, where we build up these expectations and we have these thoughts in our heads that something's got to be a certain way. We can really get locked in, and we miss quite a lot. So whilst I said I really want to be focused and in the moment enjoying it, it's also that focus, whilst being so focused, it's also being open to what is and what can come. So that's what I'm trying to do with the Reiki. Is like every time I perform Reiki, it's a different experience. We get different messages, different information, different intuitions come in, yet it's the same energy, it's the same universal life force energy that comes through me to the others to stimulate the body's natural healing capabilities. That is the same process. It just can be done in a different way. You can get different information. So it's really cool. I really enjoy playing with it, and everybody's different. So there's no set way that it has to be done, that you have to get a certain result. Everybody gets different results and everything else that comes with it. The overall main purpose of coming is either to feel better, to get the healing process done, even with the mentoring, to grow themselves through personal development or emotional intelligence. It's the same process there, yet it's the results don't have to be fixed.
Yeah, that's cool. It reminds me of a book I'm reading right now, and there's a quote here at the start of a chapter by Lao Tzu that says, "Stop thinking and end your problems." Stop thinking and end your problems. So the premise of the book, which if I can share with you, is don't believe everything you think, why your thoughts are creating suffering in your life. And the book is by Joseph Newen, and I think I saw it on TikTok as a recommendation. But he basically said, when we have thoughts and we have thinking. So when we say, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" That's when we start to ruminate. That's what you're just saying now. That we have expectations. Expectations are these thoughts, and thoughts keep us in suffering. Suffering in the Buddhist sense, but suffering in the sense that we're kind of unable to see that direct moment, like you have when you do Reiki or when you jumped out of the plane. That we being more present, and I think being more, whether you call it mindfulness, whether you call it whatever, but we're all struggling, I think, to create this sense of presence in our daily activity, just doing something for the sake of it, or being so in it. And he talks in another chapter about flow being important. And in flow, we are in that presence. And it's a popular term now, getting into the zone, like you're talking about the rugby player before. That's all he was thinking about. And so that's an incredible effort actually to get there, because we're so distracted by everything else. Like your colleagues in the plane, who were perhaps worrying or fearful and having these thoughts, of which didn't come true. So often these thoughts we have don't come true. Our expectations, either for things not turning out or turning out, probably aren't met either,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just exactly as you said, like when we sit there and we ruminate with things, we get distracted and we build that area. And that's literally what happened to me. I was sitting there ruminating on the thoughts of, well, everybody's asking me, am I nervous? Am I scared? Why am I not afraid? And the moment I started thinking more about it and let the thoughts run, that's where I was like, hang on, should I be scared? And that's where I was, not judging, but asking myself, actually, am I really afraid, or am I allowed to be in my excitement and just run with what was literally going through my body?
Yeah, right. And it worked because you could, and that's great. Yeah. So do you think that's you? Is that something that you've developed, or is that just,
I think as I've progressed through time, it's that's the development and the thoughts and being aware of the thoughts and the emotions within your body and what's going on. And it was also one of my patterns as well. It was my adaptability. It was trying to fit in. So I was like, well, everybody else is feeling this way. Maybe I should too. And then it was literally, no, I'm allowed to be different. I'm allowed to experience what I'm experiencing. I don't have to be somebody else or feel something else to fit in. And it was like, I can be the black sheep of the skydiving team because I was actually on a buzz having so much fun, rather than excuse the term, but shitting bricks.
Maybe you could be a skydiver. I'm sure
I could see myself doing it.
Because of that ability to be in that moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a skill, is actually being able to block out the background noise. As you said, when you focus just on getting it might have been, what did you say, 24 rows per
number,
minute.
The number on the screen.
Just if you can focus on that and get it done, you can lock out that background noise, which limits the distractions. So there's no shiny object, something new, something to distract. It's just everywhere in life. And
a good lesson, I think, not only for men but for anybody in this moment. But I think too, the expectations, like we've heard from some of our guests, that men want to create, or they want to provide, or they want to live up to perhaps their fathers or other examples of male role models that they've had in life. But that's not necessarily helpful in this way if it means that they're overthinking or suffering with their thinking because the thinking is leading them down to this area and not being present to what they actually have in this moment, which could be other great things, if they've got a roof over their head or they've got a loving partner or kids, like you mentioned, your son's running up to you and hugging you, that's a moment not to go. And then if you're thinking, oh my God, I did that jump and, oh, thanks for the hug, mate. But you're still over here thinking about that, you're not present to them. And
absolutely. And I think that goes further to when we discussed with Ed that, is the modern man is not defined. There is no definition of a modern man because we're all different. We all have different values and belief systems that we run. Yet the overall arching thing is that you're a man and you go through life in the way that you perceive is best for yourself, your family, or your partner, whatever relationship you're in.
Yeah.
And it's fitting into it. And with Goran as well, it's about the mindset. If we can have the correct mindset, then possibilities are endless.
Yeah. So we could add being present as part of that mindset, and finding your way to be present. So maybe you have to take an annual skydive just to remind yourself. Of course, as you said, it's not a cheap thing, so one has to save up for that. But maybe you'll do other jumps in life at other times to remind yourself to do that, or jumping on something else, a bike ride or something that can create that sense of presence for you. You played rugby yourself, so I think you said you've sort of retired now, but maybe you had moments when you were playing where you were equally present in that activity, and that led to this single-minded thinking about.
100%. Like as growing up, I was one of the smaller kids. I wasn't very big, yet I knew I certainly had the fear. Certainly coming through school, I was one of the smallest kids, as I said. Then you come up against these big guys that run at you, and the fear is there. Let's go. I'm going to get hurt. I'm going to run over. I'm not going to be able to do my job. And literally, as I said, it's trusting the process. I knew that I could tackle. I knew how to do it. I knew the correct techniques, and that's what I did. And at the end of the day, I came up. I was uninjured. I was fine. I'd done my job. So as if you have that ability in the moment, you ask yourself, is this fear logical? So certainly there's a logical fear. If you're on top of a skyscraper and you don't have a safety harness or anything else, you're not going to dance around on the edge because that fear is logical.
That's true. Yet
if it's walking across the road and there's no cars around and you've got fear of crossing the road, then is that fear logical? When you've looked for the safety elements, it's safe. You're not going to get hit. That's where if you have that ability, you can bring it in.
Great. So there's a good place to start. Walking across the street, recognizing and recognizing, I guess, in smaller ways in your life where you have the fear. So for others watching, they might be still fearing skydiving or bungee jumping. I did that when I was 16. Similar thing, just jumped off and kind of just went down. Did it twice in a row, had an exhilarating experience. But now at 45, I'm not sure that I'd do it, but I'd probably do a skydive at some point.
I highly recommend it.
So I do think looking into that, but looking into where are we holding fear, and fear is based in then these negative thoughts, or at least thinking. And this book, if it speaks truth, then thinking is creating that suffering, that ill feeling for us. Whereas going back to a thoughts come and they go. Thoughts can come from other sources as well. We can allow a thought in and then move on that. So a thought could be, the road is clear, I'll cross. Great. Thinking, should I cross now? Do I cross? Do I not? Oh my God. That's the difference, I think. A thought, the road is clear, I'll cross. So it influences our behaviors in different ways. So I've got to keep reading the book. I'm only 46% through or something. So it's not a long book by John Newen, but certainly I'd recommend it around that. It was recommended to me. That's why I've got it in my Kindle. So yeah. So Scott, thanks for sharing your thoughts today on your jump and
You're welcome.
and how present you are. And of course, I love that you get to do it through being a Reiki master as well. So if you're working with people, you can deliver that sense of being present and that single-mindedness on what's happening for people. So great.
Absolutely. And yeah, just one final thing is, if you are feeling that fear, ask yourself, what's that fear trying to teach me? And as I said, if it's logical or not.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, let's end it there, but we're looking forward to bringing you more guests in the coming months. So it is summer here in Europe, and hopefully we'll be able to find some time to put out some more episodes. So do be in touch with us, and through LinkedIn, through Facebook, and we'd be happy to connect with you further. So cheers. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, David. Thanks, everyone.
This has been another episode of Modern Manhood, and if you've enjoyed this episode, please click to subscribe and make sure you stay connected. We are navigating modern manhood. Join Scott and David next time.